record, and I'm going to bring on Breana and Rita, who are our panel members today, and we can learn a little bit more about what the older adults OATS and Senior Planet is. And so welcome, both of you. Thank you for making yourself available. And I didn't know about your platform until about a month ago. And when I heard about it, I was like, whoa, we gotta spotlight this. First, let's get to know the two of you. Breana, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, and then we'll dive into what OATS and Senior Planet does a little bit later.
Sure. Yeah, everyone, my name is Bree Clark. I'm the Associate Director of Program Operations for OATS, Older Adults Technology Services. OATS powers our flagship program, Senior Planet. So you'll kind of hear those interchanged, but my background in education is all in social work. I came to OATS as a trainer. I wanted to have more impact in what I was doing, and I thought what OATS was doing was just unparalleled to any other programs being offered to older adults. And since then have continued to kind of get pulled further and further into what we're doing. And then throughout this pivot to virtual programs, just have been blown away by what's happening.
Now, another really cool thing that I know about your background, because you shared with me that you moved from the DC area to Nashville just recently. You were really involved with the Montgomery County, Maryland Senior Planet program. And I guess with COVID and everything happening, you got a promotion and now you're more of a corporate.
I am. Yes, it's a very bittersweet move in many ways. So yes, I'm the outgoing program manager for Senior Planet Montgomery, our operations in Montgomery County. And we've just seen the program grow tremendously in the last 4 years. And so, yeah, now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Having a remote job allowed that to happen. I'm sure many of you have experienced or know people who are able to work from just about wherever they are. So I'm now having more of a role in our operations, and, you know, a lot of the things OATS thinks and cares about have really come to light during COVID. And so it's really allowed us to grow and expand in ways that have been really helpful.
Great. Now, down at the bottom of my screen, we have Rita Dhawan, and I'm really charged up that, Breana, that you invited Rita on, because I believe Rita is a program participant. Am I correct? Oh, unmute yourself, Rita.
Hi there, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, yes, I'm a participant, a member now of OATS, and a big fan, and ready and willing to promote Senior Planet anytime, anywhere.
Well, before we jump into that, Rita, give us a little snapshot of your background. I know this could probably escalate and it could be the whole hour, trust me, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have lived in Montgomery County for almost 38 years now. Migrated from India, landed in this area, and I have been in this area up and down Rockville Pike, as they say, you know. Basically involved with biomedical research and what else and recently retired, 66 years old, living all alone in a 1-bedroom apartment for the last 2 years. And I was getting ready actually to move to California where my daughter is, but then COVID happened. And that was it. There was no moving to happen. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because my building is full of young people who are not stagnant, who keep moving 6 months, 1 year, and they are gone, and you can't form friendships with them. So I was thinking maybe I should move to a senior, housing. But COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, I actually connected, or rather subscribed for newsletters from the state aging department, Montgomery County, City of Rockville. And then they started sending me information, and one of them was Montgomery County newsletter telling me about Senior Planet. So,
Wow, man, I tell you, just before we jump into this and jump back to Breana and learn more about the program, I really thank you for coming on, Rita. I think so many times on these discussions, we have groups of providers and we're all just talking amongst ourselves. And I think it's fantastic when we can have program participants, residents, caregivers that have actually sort of gone through this. And I loved hearing your story of how you discovered Senior Planet, because, you know, for a lot, there's so many programs out there and we're all doing the best we can to spread the word. But that's one of the reasons why I'm having this program today, because I know there's people out there that need this program that don't know about it. So,
absolutely.
so this is great. Well, so let me jump back to Breana and let's dive in and learn about this organization and what you have to offer. And then I'm going to just remind the audience, you can just start hitting us with questions and comments and as anytime. Use the Q&A box because it's hard for me to keep track of all the conversation that goes on in chat.
Good deal. And Steve, I'm very informal. I give these things often, so stop me at any point if there's a question so we don't move too far along. So like I mentioned, Senior Planet is the flagship program powered by OATS. Just want to give everyone a quick little visual of our landing page, our website, seniorplanet.org. Our courses, programs, activities, they're all designed for people 60 and older, and they're intended to help seniors learn new skills, save money, get in shape, make new friends, and you know, a lot of other wonderful things. But we see ourselves as more than just sort of the gadgets and apps and websites that are, you know, popular and interesting. We really see ourselves as trying to enable older adults and people of all ages to come together and find ways to learn, work, create, and thrive in today's digital age. So you will notice if you go to our website, we have some in-person locations that, you know, a little more relevant when we're not in person. When we are in person rather. But we're located in our origin point of New York City, the North Country of New York, Montgomery County, Maryland, as we just mentioned, Denver, Colorado, San Antonio, Texas, and Palo Alto, California. So these geographic boundaries have a little bit of, you know, they've disappeared a little since we've pivoted to virtual programs, but I do encourage you to take a look just so you can kind of see the context of what we're providing virtually. So today I'd like to introduce what Senior Planet and OATS are doing to engage older adults virtually. Going to pivot one moment. And I also like to provide a preview of what we're providing. In a moment, we'll turn it over to Rita, who very graciously has agreed to talk about her experience as a Senior Planet member. In my opinion, Rita is the perfect spokesperson. She found out about us as a virtual program, something that was tremendously daunting for us to do. So much of what we did was in-person community building and engagement. And so I think her finding us virtually is just kind of the perfect, you know, profile. And also she's so enthusiastic about us, you all are gonna think that we paid her to say nice things. So quickly, I'm gonna go over OATS mission and philosophy, just to kind of a starting point so you can kind of understand where we're coming from. I'll give some brief virtual program metrics just so you can see the volume of what we've been doing. I wanna highlight older adults and learning. What are sort of the things we think about and sort of guide, or what are the guideposts? What do we believe supports learning, and what are those kind of spoken barriers? Some best practices, and then I will end with the things we have going on our website. I will say it once, and I probably will have to say it a couple of times because it seems too good to be true. Our programs and our resources are free. If you go to our website, you have access to what we have going on at no cost. We at OATS, we know that older adults are full of potential in the face of technology because they have the experience and the know-how of a life. So we do recognize, though, that if you don't use technology, you do risk becoming marginalized in today's society. And we saw that especially true throughout COVID. And I know that this is not news to any of you. But the way we think about things is that, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to successful technology training. Where we start from is participant-driven learning. So our materials are designed for older adults. Things that are designed for teenagers would not be appropriate. They don't draw on learner experience and knowledge and wherewithal. And for us, like I mentioned, it's not about the technology, it's about what you do with the technology. Most of us are interested in connecting with others and saving money and getting active. And so we focus on 5 impact areas: social engagement, civic engagement, creative expression, health and wellness, and financial security. So a lot of our programs, they won't sort of beat you over the head with those types of topics, but those are sort of the buckets of where we see our work. And we are very, very, very focused on metrics. We measure impact, and we're really focused on the surveys and success stories so that we can continue to improve on what we're doing. A quick snapshot of the volume of what's been happening. Now, I will say this is from 1 quarter, a little more than 1 quarter of programming. We're finalizing our summer quarter, and so a lot of these numbers will probably more than double. But what we saw when we pivoted from mid-March to July were nearly 800 virtual programs. That was, an effort by all Senior Planet geographies coming together to provide content. We had just an unthinkable number of people participating, 24,000 people, and just seeing how that compared to what we were able to do in person. You'll see there at the bottom. In person, a very popular site or location might have 15 to 25 people enrolled in a lecture or in a course. In virtual realms, we're garnering close to 75 on average. Now, our very, very popular fitness programs definitely help those numbers. We have between 4 to 5 fitness programs probably more than 3 to 5 fitness programs every day, which have been essential in not only having, not only addressing sort of the mental health and the activeness that we're all wanting, but also helping people feel comfortable with the platform itself. So I'll talk about that here in a second.
Hey, Bree,
Yeah.
real quick, Gail Friday was hoping that, could you just say the 5 areas of impact again?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And I have to look at my notes because I always forget them. I always lose one. Social engagement, civic engagement, creative expression, health and wellness, and financial security.
Great. Thanks a lot. Okay, yeah, keep on going. We got questions coming in, but just keep on going with the overview and we'll get to them.
Excellent. So just one last point on this slide is that we're seeing a huge influx of new participants. One of the things we really sort of focused on when we first pivoted was, how do we get our engaged audience to join us? Are they in need of and wanting connection right now? And then what we saw is not without major promotion. Rita had mentioned the way she found out about us was people in the county picking up what we were doing, what we were putting out, and we really saw the influx of folks from that. Our Net Promoter Score has been just sort of unthinkable how high it is. But the things that we really care about and the things we want to see change and what we think really matters are those things you see on your screen. People feeling more connected, people feeling more confident, better equipped to find resources, and feeling less alone. We are not people who want to come in and create this sense of dependency and need. We really see ourselves as empowering, and having that lens really shows up in our work. And so some of the things that we talk about and our trainers know to acknowledge and anticipate are the barriers that are in place when it comes to older adults and learning. And a lot of these barriers aren't just inherently part of being older. There are a lot of the kind of systemic things we recognize about ageism, about kind of the age segregated worlds we live in. And so it's important that we recognize and we acknowledge that digital natives versus non-natives are going to have a different understanding and language around technology. And as we've seen though, many older adults use the internet and digital technology, and all older adults bring a lifetime of experience that makes them eager and capable of learning. And so we see these barriers as not limitations, but just things that are important to acknowledge. Accessibility is huge, not just as a barrier in a traditional sense of serving the needs of someone with a physical or a cognitive impairment, but also as a barrier when you think about who designs the technology. So sometimes resources are available on a website or in an app, but they're not necessarily accessible because they weren't designed with an older adult in mind. They lack that intuitiveness that is sort of like a language. It takes a while to start to understand why on earth is there no button that says menu, right? And so some of those things can be presented as barriers, but they're really about learning the language, right? We know that security and privacy are major concerns, and rightfully so. But some of the things that come up for seniors, because they have that lifetime of security, are the knowledge and the awareness of the people in their lives and their communities, and fears and concerns that can be connected to what can happen online. And so we know that security concerns can be a barrier that keeps older adults from shopping online or benefiting from cheaper prices. Having to think about credit cards, social security, addresses, all those things, and the do's and the don'ts when it comes to where you should publish or use that information can be daunting. And so we have been pretty successful at getting older adults to bank online and use services like PayPal, not because we just say, this is how things are. You kind of have to get with the program. We really focus on explaining terms and practical ways. So explaining what encryption is, explaining what websites are doing to keep your information secure so that you can choose, right? And when it comes to privacy, we encounter those concerns in a lot of realms, but especially when it comes to social media websites. So we have found success in helping older adults understand the relevancy of a platform or service to their lives. So if you're constantly hearing about Twitter, you might just want to know, what is it used for, right? What is this appeal? What's going on Twitter? There might not always be a relevancy or connection to someone, but there's this barrier in place when you don't know what's going on in the world around you. And so not only do we explain it in sort of a risks and benefits, right? Not only do we explain it with the relevancy, but we also talk about the risks and the benefits that something can provide. So we know that there are inherent risks associated with almost anything, right? You use a credit card at a place you're maybe not familiar with the first time, there's inherent risk. And so we make sure that, you have that cost benefit analysis and that there's tools available to you. So knowing how to create strong passwords, knowing what the benefits of doing so are, understanding the importance of signing out of a platform. So it really is coming from a place of empowerment. And then the last thing that we often hear concerns and fears around is forgetting what one has learned, right? We know that if you're in a situation where you're feeling under pressure, that you've got to learn something because it's this, pressure around you, or maybe pressure you've created for yourself, it's a very difficult way to learn when you feel that way. And so we try to acknowledge the importance of repetition, hands-on practice. We acknowledge that, most times you can't just sit down for 20, 30 minutes and learn something, at expert level the first time, right? Most of us don't need to be mechanics to drive a car, but sometimes we want to know all those little inner workings. And so we acknowledge that, with practice and repetition, that these things do become second nature. And so just quickly, some best practices that we have seen really guide our work, not just virtually, but just in person and in anything we do. We think it's very important to stay focused on the need. And what I mean by that is maintaining a respect for what someone's actual request or question is. So if someone doesn't necessarily maybe remember their password to their email, it doesn't mean they don't know how to use email, right? It would be a waste of their time to explain how email works. It might just be helpful to just help them reset their password. And so really trying to stay focused on the fact that older adults are adults. They're capable and engaged in what they want to do, and maintaining that mentality. Research suggests that older adults benefit from a more even pace, time to practice, and their intrinsic motivation to learn. And so these are things that we definitely know to be true in our work, and things that we make sure that our materials and our content is guided by. Research about older adults learning in online environments and virtual courses is still emerging, but one recent study found that older adults may need more practice than other age groups. However, what is different about online course participation in older adults is that intrinsic motivation to learn. So learning for learning's sake, rather than learning to meet an external goal. And that's a huge benefit, a huge strength to older adults in learning. And then quickly, I'll go through the rest. We remember and remind trainers how important it is to avoid jargon, right? It can be a very off-putting, and the unfamiliarity with jargon doesn't mean that someone doesn't have a skill, or vice versa, right? And sometimes we have to catch ourselves when we do it, but it's really essential. When explaining something, we try to present examples that will illustrate how something works in the physical world, ones that would be relevant to the learner, not based also in a digital realm. And as I spelled out earlier, tapping into those cost benefits, the pros and cons of deciding to use a technology or a service or a program, versus just sort of assuming that any and all thing is relevant or useful to someone. When possible, definitely lifting up a learner's experience. This is one thing that's easier to do in person. Virtually, we can't always directly connect one-on-one, but when we can, it's essential, right, to draw on that learner's experience. And lastly, we know that it's imperative that a non-digital native see that they are someone who could troubleshoot an issue with enough wherewithal. It chips away at the trainer, the facilitator, sort of being that sole source of information or knowledge, right? With enough support, the older adults that we serve and teach can be themselves troubleshooters and people who can try to figure out what's going on. And I say that because I acknowledge that technology fails us all the time, right? And we try to make that a routine statement. When you're still trying to learn a platform or a service, it's really important that you know that you might have not done anything wrong, right? Wi-Fi goes out, programs shut down or need to be updated. And those are really important things to feel supported in your learning. All right, enough blabbing about older adults, technology services, and Senior Planet, and what we think and do. I'd like to show you our website and show you what we have been providing. I think that you'll find that there's a great variety in what there is to do and see. I'm gonna go ahead, I have links ready to be entered into the chat, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that now.
Oh no, I already did it.
Ah, way ahead. All right, great.
Yeah. So great. I got, for everybody, I just added Breana's contact info in there. If you want to take a few questions before you show us the website, or?
Sure, I'm happy to. Yeah, whatever makes sense.
Okay, sure. It'll give you a little break there from okay, so Terry Hilton, do you know of any grants for internet and devices? So many seniors are without, and in the city of Rockville, we are looking for grants and opportunities to close the digital gap. I know that's not related to your program, but because you're out there trying to make this more accessible, are you familiar with anything like that?
Yes, so we have been really blown away by a program that Senior Planet and OATS has been involved with the city of New York. So we call it the NYCHA project. If you're familiar with housing in NYCHA, NYCHA serves thousands of people. And in partnership with that city funding, 10,000 seniors who live on their own and are 62 and older received a tablet and received training and support and a call service run by OATS. And so what we've been trying to pursue is what we keep calling mini NYCHA projects. So what does that look like in other municipalities? I know that because of COVID, the shift has changed and moved more towards just how serious social isolation is. And so I would recommend looking at your local funding sources. And, you know, we are also doing the same. We've had a little bit of success with our program in San Antonio, receiving some funding from Bexar County. Our program in Palo Alto is doing the same with San Jose County. And so that is where we are looking. And obviously, you know, we're seeing the impact of just how important it is to not just put tablets in people's hands, but to provide support and let people know what it can provide to them.
Great. And I know you're going to give us a demo of the website, so I'm going to hold off on John Butterfield's questions. Mike Harrigan asks, and probably, like you said, you're going to have to repeat this multiple times. So how is it free? How is it funded?
I know, it's too good to be true, right? So each of our locations has its own funding stream. In Montgomery County, we're very fortunate to receive funding from the county itself, from the Department of Technology Services and the Department of Environmental Protection. We have one of the smaller projects because it is municipal funding, but my colleagues in New York work with the city. They work with, you know, Capital One. We work with T-Mobile. My colleagues in San Antonio and in Colorado have funding from Next 50 and Humana. So that is what makes it possible. We have to serve and make good on the deliverables with those funders, but because things are virtual, we are not closing the doors just to the people who are in our realms.
Okay, and then we'll move to the demo here. But before, I want to give you the opportunity to reiterate this as well. Is that Ada Horsfall asks, are OATS services in Maryland limited only to Montgomery County? And I think the COVID-19 has radically changed the way that you're delivering your program, in that it doesn't matter if you're in Des Moines, Iowa, you can access your services.
That's right. The biggest barrier that I think I've found is if you don't know the context of Senior Planet, time zones can get a little tricky. But otherwise, the website's responsive to time zones, and absolutely. There's an occasional program here and there that is based on the local deliverable, but if you go to our website and you see something is available, it's available to anyone. It's geared towards people 60 and older, and especially with Montgomery County, we're seeing, you know, people come from Virginia and from Baltimore and from all over. But absolutely, if someone's from Des Moines and they want to hop on to a program on using Twitter or PayPal, absolutely.
Oh, this is good. I just glanced at chat, and there's a little discussion going on. Amazon, somebody posts, Clint posts, Amazon Kindles can be loaned out from all Loudoun County public libraries. Perhaps check with your local library. Their program may be called the Library of Things, as a takeoff on the Internet of Things. So again, guys, the power of chat is amazing. So share resources on there, and I make a copy of chat and send it out to all of you guys. So if you can't take notes or cut and paste, you'll have access to it later. So sorry to be a little speed bump there, Breana, but how about now you can give us the tour of the website and what some of these programs are, and we'll get back to the rest of the questions.
Yeah, no, this was great. And I you know what, the trainer in me is taking a look at something that I wanted to take a moment to mention. Internet Essentials, Comcast program, which is low-cost internet. If you're not familiar with it, there's several providers that do similar work, and that is something that we try to make sure our audience is well aware of. So if someone does have the resources to pay $9.95 a month, they can get low-cost internet if they've not had it or cannot afford it.
Clint is a great resource there in chat. We might have to book you as a guest. Clint's internet life hacks.
So I'm going to go ahead and enter a couple of the website links that
you got to share again. Yeah, and then share again. And also, yeah, Breana, you can send those resources to me in an email, because I follow up with everybody after this.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, either way, I just know that oftentimes when people are demoing, they're like, "What's the link? What's the link?"
Yeah.
So let me go ahead. I'm going to pivot to the actual website, but I'm going to show you the landing spot for if you're wanting to know what programs we're providing. I'll show you where that is. We have a Senior Planet National Tech Hotline. So this is something that is available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern, and you'll see the phone number there on your screen. This is available to provide support for just about anything you can think of. It's not intended to be, intensive and hours long, but if someone's having trouble getting onto Zoom, maybe a reoccurring issue with their email or phone, this is a great resource to go to. And then the last thing I will show is the resources that we have, again, are free. Our curriculum team has been providing resources on handouts or in the form of handouts and videos on using Zoom and lots of other tutorials on popular platforms. And then we've also assembled some device recommendation guides. Some of us know people who are embarking upon this for the first time, so we put together some of those resources. Let me actually show you where those things are located. You start off by going to seniorplanet.org. Earlier, I mentioned you can start by going to one of the locations. So if you are in this area, even if you're not in Montgomery County, I do recommend, and I'm saying are like I'm in Montgomery County. If you go to Montgomery County, you might find some of the opportunities that are available to our local folks. For instance, we have a partnership with the Department of Environmental Protection. We've got great resources and programs on saving money by lowering your utility bill. Those are geared towards folks in Montgomery County, so you'll see those here. But what I recommend is if you're tied to a physical location, start with that, select the location, and then take a look at their events. If you are not tied to any of the Senior Planet locations, the best place to go to is to click on this, join us online. When you do so, you will see a list of what is happening that week. And you will see a great variety, many fitness classes, which have been tremendously popular. All of our programs are about either an hour to maybe 75 minutes long, depending on the content. And the descriptions will sort of give you a sense of what to expect. So if you were interested in attending this program, Introduction to Hosting on Zoom, you'll see that my time zone is being responsive to where I am. So I'm in Central Time, and you should see the same for any device that you're on. The description will give you a sense, and then you simply have to click on the Zoom link to join. We are trying to make our programs as barrierless as possible, and to compensate for that, we've had to have a lot of security and policies in place to ensure that, you know, the environment's supportive and not welcoming to Zoom bombing and other things that would be disruptive. So you will see that it is just as easy as clicking on the link provided. Occasionally there will be a workshop or something where registration is asked for, but most programs you will see you can just join at the time. What I recommend is if you are wanting to kind of stay abreast to what's going on and, you know, not have to constantly check the website, is to sign up for one of our newsletters. You will see, I'm just gonna scroll down here. You know what, I think it'll be quicker to actually go to one of our locations. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see lots of things, and you'll see sign up for newsletters. We try to have the newsletter plug in as many places as possible. So if you do sign up for a newsletter, you can select a location, or you can just select that you want to see all the online events, which means the ones available to everyone nationally. Last but not least, the resources that I made mention of. You can click on this COVID-19 at the top of the webpage. And you'll see here some of the things I made mention of. So we've got Zoom handouts and instructions, some of the handouts and resources that I mentioned earlier, how to you know, what to expect from the National Tech Hotline and so forth. I do want to highlight the Zoom instructions because we've just added our curriculum team has added a couple new resources on how to host a meeting on Zoom. So we now have a step-by-step guide on how to host, some of those visuals that you might not always have when you're tuning into a program. again, these are all free. We're making them widely available so that we can all stay connected and, you know, active and sane during this time. So I hope you check them all out.
Great. Really great overview of the site there, Breana. And I'd love to turn it back over to Rita and just ask, what are some of the programs that you've participated in that you've enjoyed?
I actually started with the exercise programs. My community had offered a link, Zoom, but then that turned out to be all younger people who are already physically fit, you know, and I couldn't keep up with them. But more than that, I didn't feel welcome enough. So when I logged into Senior Planet, the first morning stretch class, and I got a welcome aboard from Fiona and Cass, it was mind-blowing. I felt like I fit here. And one thing, there are a few things that I really want to say about Senior Planet. It has been such a mental therapy. And that mental therapy started with asking Fiona to give us 5 minutes or 10 minutes of talking time before and after the exercise classes. That pulled people from all over. And Bree was saying nationally, and I'll tell Bree, we had people join from South Africa, Australia, Canada, and UK at one point. It was great. We talked, we laughed, and it grew to about 250 people now. Every morning we are there, and we plan our day around what is being offered by Senior Planet. So what happens is I attend the morning stretch, then I go on the website and I choose and pick what I want to attend. And then I plan when lunch is going to be, when shower is going to be, when around it, you know, we all are doing that. I just can't say enough how it has helped, you know. And they are so friendly. They have never lost patience explaining to an 80-year-old how many times, how to go to YouTube, how to log into one video. That question is literally asked every day, 6 months later, but they have never lost patience. They have never said, I explained it just 5 minutes ago. No, that doesn't happen. So it's become a family. And I have, I pick and choose, and my things are lunch and chat with the Colorado people. So I made friends over there, and at one point I was ready to pack my bags and go to Colorado and live next to Judy Ruff and Senior Planet Center that they have over there. And then I pick and choose what little app or what little technology I need to learn, and they are offering. That will go into my calendar. And as far as the exercise classes are concerned, every morning, Monday through Friday, it's morning stretch, 12:30 to 1:30. 2 days of Fit Fusion and upper body, which I had never done till I joined Senior Planet. And then the yoga that Tina does with us, balance and posture. And on Friday, which I'm missing right now, is my Tai Chi class.
Oh,
When I started, I didn't know how to move with, you know, all this different motions and everything. But let me end this one by saying that Fiona agreed and gave us a Friday evening dance session. And we get together and we dance for an hour. Amazing. Amazing.
wow. Now, if you could talk to your future self, like let's pretend it's January of 2020, and you could tell your future self that, you know, you are going to be in September, you're going to be kicking yourself because you missed your online Tai Chi class. Like, what would you think? And is that engagement? Like, I think one of the challenges, and this is, it's older adults, it's kids, that we are stuck in sort of saying, this is horrible, we can't get together face to face. But what are some of your words of wisdom about the experience and the companionship that you're receiving through these online courses versus the a live get together?
This comes every day from everyone after they have had their exercise and everything, or the chat group for that matter. Are you going to continue after COVID? They just don't want to lose this connection. One of your very senior and very involved people in Colorado says that when we used to go to the center, we didn't know each other. We used to come 20 people, 30 people. We used to do our little thing and maybe say hi and how are you and go home. But now these little 2-inch by whatever inch squares, you know each other and they miss each other. If a person is missing from a class, you are absolutely going to be asked the next day, what happened to you, Rita? Where were you yesterday? We have connected to a point that I have made friends in California. I now privately have Zoom sessions with them. Colorado, New York. My social life was zero before this. So I don't know if COVID is a boon or what, but I know this for sure, that we all pray that Senior Planet and these Zoom sessions don't disappear. They have to be there for us.
Wow. Amazing testimonial there. And that's fantastic. Okay, let's get to some of these questions, and both of you guys jump in and feel free to comment. And once again, so John Butterfield, he had some questions on searching the OATS website versus searching Senior Planet. I think it's important to understand that the Senior Planet is the site with all the classes, and OATS is more of the parent company. So hopefully he got his questions answered when you did that demo. Bonnie Denker asks, how do you market your organization and programs?
So we have a lot of room to grow. We're so busy putting on these programs, we forget sometimes to pull everyone in. I can speak for Montgomery County. Because of our county partnerships, we put out a weekly press release through the countywide sort of press release notification system, which is likely how it got put on Rita's radar. So all of the listservs and the county departments sort of pick it up and put it into their communications. Our newsletter is sort of the landing place for everyone. So we want everyone to go to our newsletter so that they get that weekly notification of what's happening. And then we're trying to think of new ways. The word of mouth and the friend of the friend and the family member has been a tremendous reason why people are finding out about us. But yeah, definitely room to grow in the promotion of what we're doing.
Oh, I'm going to send my mom this recording when we're done.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value there. So
my own parents, when we started this, I told them what we were doing, or told them that we were talking about how to use Zoom, and they said, is that something that I should join? I said, you check it out. And I think they were blown away by just how helpful and impactful it was.
I want to add to this. You just need one senior to join from one senior community.
There you go. Word of mouth.
Let's see. Gabrielle Vetter Toffee says, what is the minimum level of technology proficiency that a participant needs in order to benefit from your programs, i.e. use a computer, connect to a link, use email?
That's a really great question and kind of a difficult one to answer. I'm curious, Rita, what you think. The way we position ourselves virtually is we recognize it is a barrier to get onto Zoom. It's unfamiliar. Folks might have not used it before, but if you have a device that's internet enabled, and you're able to access our website or open up an email with our newsletter, it is as simple as clicking on that link. Now, I say that and I'm making it sound easier said than done. But if you can tune in, much like today, where you had to click on a link and you can have a passive experience, or you can have a very involved experience where you're using the chat and using the questions. Rita, what do you think? How would you characterize it?
Can you repeat the question again? I think I missed the
Yeah,
front
it's
part of it.
what is sort of like the minimum technical proficiency that you would need to participate?
Without any doubt, you do need to have a device and you do need to have internet. You do need to understand what a computer or what an iPad or what a smartphone is. But once you have those and you have been able to connect with at least one person who shows you the first few steps of how to connect to Senior Planet, you know, that link that you might actually find on the website or maybe a newsletter that came to you. After that, there is no problem, because even as you struggle, for instance, how do I put my name in the chat? Somebody will ask, and the host goes, okay, everyone quiet. This is what you need to do. Press that button. Look over there. It's like leading you, holding your hand, and they care, and they care. They care because I guess you all are in a way volunteering your time and whatever it is, you know, something is driving you to help the seniors. And so they do it with love and care. It's not a problem. But the initial three things are needed.
And I would say a good starting point, if someone's making this recommendation, it might not be super apparent. We do offer programs just about using Zoom. So I recognize it's counterintuitive. You got to get on Zoom. But there are programs available to help people feel more comfortable.
Yes, there are tutorials for everything: how to use the apps, how to use the mindfulness apps, how to use physical exercise apps. And I forgot the discussion groups. So we asked Fiona that we want to learn these things. We want to be able to talk to each other, not like, you know, a school room where, okay, you talk, now you talk. It's like an open forum, and people will come with questions, and it's discussion groups on holistic medicine and apps that are available for you, where they teach us basically.
Oh, that's great. Now, is Zoom the preferred, or are most of the discussions and things like that done on Zoom?
Everything.
Yeah, they are, with little exception. We recognize every platform has lots of room to grow, right? We don't spend a lot of time celebrating those, but we do recognize it's one of the more frictionless platforms out there, and wider audience, for the same reason we're using it today, right?
Exactly. That's there's better features on some others, but because we're all familiar with it, the idea of relearning a new platform can be challenging to all of us.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we're getting close to one, so let me rip through a few more of these. Okay, does Senior Planet partner with application developers on key aspects for designing for accessibility for older adults? Wow, great question.
That's a great question, and probably a little above my wherewithal about what we see ourselves doing going forward. I know that we definitely see ourselves as being thought leaders in this space, and I don't yet know kind of how we see ourselves partnering or embarking upon those things. We do often have sponsorships that sort of guide, you know, if there's material or content and they want it to be relevant and user-friendly to seniors. So online banking, but actually in the co-design, I think that would be new territory for us.
Yeah. How do you select Mike Harrigan asks, how do you select the content to include?
Great question. So based on those content areas, those impact areas, we have a really talented curriculum team. And so in person, we have 5 and 10 week courses that are based on all the things you can do with a device. Our lectures vary. So from social media platforms to financial literacy, you know, that it really is based on all those impact areas. And we really just try to have content that's relevant and interesting. We, you know, we don't like to have stuff out there that people don't want to use or know how to use. It tends to be pretty responsive to what most of us have.
I will add to that.
You said what?
I would like to add to that.
Oh, okay, go.
Yeah, and yeah, they plan, they decide, you know, but it is us who ask. We say we want this, and they provide it for us. And I'll give you one more example. One time we were so excited about the quality of our life getting so much good, we wanted to thank Tom.
Aww.
So we asked Fiona, please invite him so we can personally thank him. And he came. He came to our exercise class, and all of this, and it's more women, I agree, but there are men too. But we were so excited. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. We just ask. We want this. We want this, and they and there is one thing that I have asked that hasn't happened yet, and will happen when things get better, and that is a field trip to New York, Manhattan Park, and all of us doing Tai Chi in Central Park.
There you go. Yeah, Tom is our executive director. And so outside of curriculum, we do have member-led events. We have other special programs. And so we try to just be responsive.
Yeah, and I think this was asked earlier, but Linda asked it again. How are you funded? Like, how can we ensure that this program is going to be sustainable? And are there opportunities for providers in the audience to sponsor or support you?
Oh my word, yes. Obviously, you know, it's a co-creation and things that need to be on brand and our ethos, but absolutely, we're always looking for new opportunities, and COVID has definitely brought new lenses on our work and how we are perceived. So always open to opportunities. I think my email is in the chat, but I'm definitely open to any inquiries from the audience.
But right now, how are you funded? Like, where does your revenue come from?
It's dependent on the location. So in Montgomery County, from Montgomery County, we've got Humana funding our work in Texas. Next 50 funds our work in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, and so forth. Mm-hmm.
Once again, Rita wants to say,
yep.
Humana director, I forget the name, he visited us too. He wanted to see this group. What are you talking about? What is this noisy, excited group, you know? And he came and visited us too. And I'll say one more thing. Each and every member is so happy, participant is so happy. Everyone has become a member.
Great.
Minimum, you have to just put a minimum and you become a member. And I have become a monthly, every month, XYZ amount from my bank.
Let's see, Catherine, I think is posing a question for all of us to think about. What can we do to provide access for seniors in nursing homes? I mean, a lot of this is spread the word. Like if you have a loved one in the nursing home, let them know about Senior Planet. If you're running an assisted living or nursing home and you're looking for content, I mean, this is the beauty of this is you could buy iPads for your residents, and now you've got instant content that they can access.
Absolutely.
Let's see, Rose says, what was the New York program you referenced? You referenced a New York program earlier.
It's our partnership with NYCHA. So NYCHA is the housing development in New York City. And that project was kind of a mayoral mandate around addressing social isolation of seniors. And so it's a call center, support, and tablet distribution project.
Okay, and Gail followed up, is it NICHA?
Great question, NYCHA.
Oh,
I believe the HA is Housing Authority. I'm assuming that's what that is.
Okay, all right. And let's see, please repeat the list of references. Breana mentioned a $9.95 a month internet option.
Yes. So Comcast has a program called Internet Essentials. And so they're not the only ones that have a low cost program. I believe RCN is the local provider that also has a similarly priced low cost option. It's for people who are low income, and you can qualify based on different kind of programs that are geared towards people who are low income. and it's $9.95 a month for your internet access. They also make a low-cost device available if you qualify. I want to say it's $150, maybe $125 for a laptop.
Great. Let's see. This is a good one. Martha asks, does Senior Planet include programs for persons who do not speak English?
We do. We have a lot of room to grow, but currently we do provide programs in Spanish. Montgomery County offers 2 a week. My colleagues in New York offer a few, and then my colleagues obviously in San Antonio have quite a few programs in Spanish. And then we're currently partnering for the first time to offer programs in Mandarin. So if you're familiar with CCACC, a community center in Rockville, we are working with them to offer our programs to their audience.
Great. Okay, let's see. Our class and workshops and event teachers and instructors, are they all Senior Planet employees, or does opportunity and a chance exist for others to propose and teach classes and workshops?
They're all OATS hired trainers. We do host and provide guest speakers or, special events. It's not the bulk of what we do. The bulk of what we do really is kind of standardized through that training, trainer.
I want to add there.
Say that again.
We have the participants volunteering now. So I attended a tutorial on Google Docs and Google Sheet or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was a participant who was teaching the class. And also the dance class, we did belly dancing. A participant who knows how to belly dance, she was our instructor and teaching us what to do. So it's coming from, they are actually harnessing all the rich resources that the seniors have to offer too. That is happening too.
Absolutely.
All of it is happening, yeah.
Okay, we're getting through these questions. It's past 1. Don't worry, we're recording this, but let's see. Karen Boucher, you mentioned the funding for tablets, but if everything is free, where does your funding come from? Yeah,
it's still from those local partnerships and that local funding is what funds the work. Yeah. Okay. In so many ways, you fund the staff, and so what you provide can be, for free to participants.
Okay, got it. Let's see. John Butterfield, Zoom does not allow users to mute speakers to, for instance, take a phone call or listening. May I suggest you use a different webinar? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, you guys are exploring everything, but the key is trying to make it easy and accessible.
That's true. That's right.
Steve, can you explain again how you found out about Senior Planet? And thank you for having a Zoom gathering. I actually found out about it because I was helping a village in Montgomery County, and they wanted to put something in their newsletter about Senior Planet, and their impression was, we got to get this in the newsletter because it's free for September. And then when I contacted Breana, she's like, no, it's free. The programs are free forever, or for the time being. Okay.
Right.
Let's see. Catherine says, who should one speak to if they'd like to offer a program through Senior Planet as an instructor?
You can start with me. You will see most of our pages have the staff and how to get in contact with the programs. But if you've got my email, I'm sure I might regret saying this because I bet there's a lot of talented people in this audience. But feel free to reach out to me and I'll try to get you to the appropriate person.
Catherine is saying, do you offer any programs that are in conference calls for those without internet access?
We do. So you may be aware that Zoom does provide, phone access. And the one barrier is the way we communicate this material, right? So if we're communicating through email and through our website, we recognize that you kind of have to find out about that opportunity from someone who has access to internet or our website. But if someone does, we do have that ability to call in. And a lot of my colleagues, when they know people don't have access to a device, they're trying to go the extra step to make sure they can call in.
Great. and Catherine, yeah, and that's another benefit of Zoom. So for example, I'm looking at the list of attendees here, and we've got 3 people that are listening on their phone.
Exactly.
It does have that benefit. Now, the exercise class might be more difficult, but actually just having somebody lead you through, when you think about it, like I remember when I was taking yoga classes at you know, clubs, when you're lying on your back, you got to listen to the instructor. It's not like you're seeing her
Exactly.
do it. You know,
Exactly.
let's see. Catherine McCallum says, is Oats and Senior Planet developing a recommendation list of devices to invest in to enhance your experience? So, you know, like maybe you guys have you started going down that road?
Not particularly, not beyond just feeling, you know, getting to connect. So we have some device recommendations for, you know, what's the biggest bang for your buck from what we can see in that device recommendation. You know, we've made the recommendation to some folks, you know, if you want to be on camera and your device doesn't have one, what can you do? Are there web cameras available, a smartphone? We haven't really gone that extra step to make super specific recommendations though.
And Martha says, how would my dad in New York City access these services? Well, just go to seniorplanet.org, and that's the start.
Yeah, and sign up for the newsletter. You'll get the New York City specific programs and then the ones available to everyone. So yes, happy to hear that. That's great.
Let's see. Does a person need to have downloaded Zoom onto their device in order to access Senior Planet?
Great question. No. Some find that it's a more user-friendly experience, but you can use Zoom in your browser. When you click on the link, it will just pull up Zoom in your browser. And then if the one exception to that is if you have a tablet or smartphone, you will be prompted to download Zoom at that point. That's the one exception.
Mary Belinek says, just curious to know if you partner with area agencies on aging.
You know, I can speak for Montgomery County. It's something that we're pursuing and would love to do. I'm not as familiar with my colleagues. I want to say my colleagues in Colorado do. We certainly have, you know, those top level aging industry partnerships and knowledge and wherewithal, but it's definitely something we should do a better job of pursuing.
Great. And then Ralph Sklar asks, English as a second language programs?
I would call what we do loosely connected to that, probably not as robust as an ESL program. We do have a Spanish club, which at first was for Spanish speakers and then also was for people who wanted to learn Spanish. So I think that there's, my colleagues in New York have been working on that, but nothing as robust and as kind of, you know, connected to something like an ESL program.
Whew. And our last question from Catherine McCallum, can we contact Breana directly? And yes, and you may regret that if 200 people do that, but I'm gonna cut and paste Breana's contact info into our follow-up that I'll send out today or tomorrow. And
email
wow.
is best. Email is the best way to probably reach me in a timely manner.
Thank you so much. If anything, go Rita.
Yeah, I sometimes have to tell myself to zip up. I just saw someone saying in the chat that I could start an advertising company. You know what? Before leaving morning stretch this morning, up until now, I had not told them, but as I was leaving and saying bye-bye, I don't know, I just told them. I said, I'm going to be with Bree today talking about Senior Planet, and I am telling you how many of them were like, best of luck, good luck, tell them everything, don't forget anything. If you give them the chance, the opportunity, they will be a bigger.
Well,
we are very happy.
Your program is invited on here anytime. You know, we would love to help spread the word about this. And Bree, I'll just touch base with you periodically, because if there's any changes or updates, we'd love to have you back on. You know, so Rita, you've been unbelievable, and I'm glad I've got your email, because I may be tapping you again for other discussions as a representative of the clients that we serve. I think it's very important that we listen to the people that we're serving and not make assumptions. But
Senior
senior
plan
plan,
has been a blessing. It
yeah,
has been a blessing. Time has flied. I don't know how we got from March to September. It goes so fast. And one thing I forgot to mention is Nabila's writing workshop. That has helped me. I joined that. She has guided me on how to write, and I am now writing poetry for her.
wow, I love it. Well, great job, man. Hats off to your founders or whoever started this concept. The fact that it's free is mind blowing to all of us. But as a community, we would love to support you. So I'll follow up. Bree, send me anything you want the folks to know, and we will talk to everybody soon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, Steve. Really
Thank you
appreciate it.
very much for letting me talk. I just had to. I had to. I mean, I just can't say enough, period.
I love it.
Thank you all so much.
Okay, big hugs.